So this first step is to cut the sleeve, and I've made these templates myself. Each have got different, so that's full of brand mark, and this is where I do a text stamp. But for this part, I am just getting the best amount of leather that I've got, and then it is simply tracing around. And we'll do 2. So I'm trying to use as most of the leather as possible so I don't have wastage. Got those. So now cutting out the coffee sleeves. Without messing up. Doing it nice and slowly. Having the right knife actually makes a lot of difference. Before I used to use a Stanley knife, and even before that I used a scalpel blade, and it used to take me so long to cut through this sort of thickness of leather.
Oh, so you find this knife is better than others?
Yeah, it is. When it comes out of the packet, it's razor sharp, and as you see, I don't have to put much pressure. So now we're drawing onto the leather. We're doing it a different way. We've now worked out a faster way of doing it. Originally, when I did the design, I would draw the design on paper, then I'd use tracing vellum, draw the design on the vellum, and then transfer the design after I've wet the leather onto the leather. Now that's quite a lot of errors where you can make a human error. This way, I have a laser pecker, and this is powered using the sun. So with zero waste and as green business as possible. I have a portable solar panel. And the unique selling point of my coffee sleeves is they've already had a journey. So I charge it up using a solar panel.
Cool.
It runs on a solar bank, so I could laser engrave anywhere in the world if I wanted to. Okay, I could laser anywhere in the UK. Because try and take that on the plane.
Not around the world.
In theory, I could do it if I had a laser engraver in each safe box around the world. I could just go, aha! So this is it's lasering the design onto leather, the simplest. So it is a simple outline. And it means that I can set up 4 bees, for instance. And as you'll see later, that even with it being perfectly lasered, every bee is different because the water seeps into the leather differently. It's a natural material. And the knife might glide through one and the other one it goes so this way, you know, I can set it up and batch produce the coffee sleeves. We now get into leather tooling or leather carving, which I will have to shift, but just for the initial bit. So you can't do this on chrome tan leather. You can't do this on tree leather, apple leather, all those vegan friendly new leathers that are, well, they're not leathers, but they're new materials. It can only be done on vegetable tan leather, and that's because it's been tanned using oak bark, and the oils and that sort of thing, when they get into the leather, they do stuff with the fibers of the leather that when you wet it, it absorbs the water. And this is what we call casing leather. We let it dry for a little bit. That when you stamp or impress the leather, it holds that shape and it becomes burnished. Now that this is sort of returned back to its natural colour, what I'm going to do is carve the design using what we call a swivel knife, which is, you've got a bucket thing and you can twist it. Back to casing leather. Won't need to use so much this time. Now, this time we are going to use 2 tools. Okay.
So the more you stamp, you will have more like shadow.
Yeah. And actually, this is a modelling tool, which I'm just going to use to smooth the edges and give that sort of diamond effect. Good. Which I have to, and I'll show you, because we've got 2 different blocks, so this is going to be on the bottom.
Okay. Wow.
So this is how I can consistently have straight lines. We have Be Free.
Cool.
So that's, now this would now need to be dried for a day, or if it's a really hot day, less than that. So we're going to put that aside, do a very Blue Peter-esque, and here's one we made earlier where it was all perfect.
Nice.
So the next step is to add a resist, and then we'll dye it brown.
Okay.
So we've added the resist to the leather. Ideally we wait for a day and we build up the layers of resist. The more layers of resist, the dye is not going to eat through it and get into it. So normal household sponge. And yay, this is, and we rub it into the leather. So if I was doing this myself, I would do a coat in another couple of hours, and then maybe another coat depending on how. What you'll find is, and this is the thing about vegetarian leather and it being a natural material, is, as you can see, I've put in on an even coat. However, some parts of it has accepted the dye more than others. And in order to get a consistent coat, you need to do, it's kind of like Karate Kid, wax on, wax off. It's sort of, I'll do it in circular motions this time. Then I'll do brushes going left horizontally, and then I'll go up and down, and then that will try and get a more consistent, even coat. This is why my hand-dyed coffee sleeves cost more. It's because there's a lot more time involved in making one to a sort of good standard. Next stage is to buff the top, having let the wax dry. Buffing activates the wax. And as you can see, there's some rub off. So the more I do this, the less likely it's going to rub off on the clients or whoever takes this home. Next finish we add is Identity's Permacoat. So this is a second waterproof finish, or water resistant finish. It's also heat resistant. The finishes are done. The next step is to use an edge beveler. I use a Palo Santo size 2 beveler. This is to round the edges, so at the moment they are crisp. And this is just to round it so it doesn't sort of cut into your hand or into your pocket when you use it. You start off at the back. This I learnt as a technique from Nigel Armitage. The next stage is to use gum tragacanth, EcoFlow gum tragacanth. This is to burnish the edge. So we put on a small bit of gum, and burnishing the edge. Basically, what is that's doing is sealing the edge from letting water get into the fibres and then spraying it out. So considering this is a coffee sleeve, I do this extra bit just in case, especially on the top edge, to stop coffee ever getting inside the Just remembered, need to punch the holes. The last stage is adding the snaps. I do it. The very first skill, one of the first skills you learn in leatherwork is setting snaps, which is using a mallet and a setter. And that just pushes bends this snap post in on itself and then securing it to the top bit. This side is always easier, always find. So that's a finished B sleeve.